Hello, Lou Hamilton from Audible Elegance here in Cincinnati, Ohio. I do work on Facebook and Instagram. I write a monthly blog. Staff helps me out as well. We have a website, audibleelegance.com, where we feature wonderful articles, our product line. We have an orphanage where we sell used gear. We're located a couple doors north of the original Montgomery Inn on Montgomery Road, across the street from Montgomery Cyclery. And tonight is part 2 of the Thorens TD-125 Mark II saga. I have to give hats off to a viewer from Germany who basically wrote a very simple comment, which was into the bin, in other words, into the trash, when he saw what we have here. Tonight's video is about what you may encounter and what you may need to do. And so right now I'm starting to loosen up rusted screws, retainer screws on the arm board. Now, as you see, I'm trying to work the rust out of this one so that I can actually get the appropriate Allen wrench to seat and take hold. You'll notice that I'm not using a can of dust off to try to clear it out. And when we get a little further, you'll understand exactly why I'm not risking that. So these are the wonderful situations you can run into with barn finds. And this one's going to keep me a little busy. I'm hoping that I don't have to drill this out, as that makes a bit of a mess of things. So rust can affect the shape of what's needed for the Allen. It can also affect how deep you can get it seated, and that's probably the main problem I'm having right now, is that I can't get it fully seated. Okay, so with a little bit of work, I got the final badly corroded Allen screw to release. It took not only reshaping the Allen threads, because Allen socket rust had gone into it, but it also affected the depth. So I had to clean that out and actually use a couple tools to reshape the socket. So she's ready to come out, and we're going to stop for a moment, and we're going to start showing you real dirt. One of the interesting comments we had when we were starting to evaluate the motor was that without the strobe, which is located on the bottom side of the inner platter, in place, the motor might not know to run. There's kind of a feedback loop on certain systems. Kind of common with some of the direct drives and from the Denon direct drives, where they actually use a magnetic strip inside inside the platter itself that helps it understand the speed. As you can see, regardless of what we do here, we're still not getting any response. So the comment might have been right, I can't say, but dead is dead for the moment. And now we're going to start going in, and I'm going to have to do a few things first so to understand why, and we'll go from there. Okay, as you'll probably have noticed, we kept this in a Rotel receiver box closed up because about what we're about to show you. And this is something you encounter with any type of barn find. It could be furniture, it could be a piano. Actually, I got a piano, and yeah, it had a friend in it too. And in this case, well, this one had a visitor. Now, one of the things you have to be very careful about when you start looking at these sort of things is who might have been living inside of it. And since we had a slot opening here behind the tone arm, we could actually see a little bit probably that this was actually the home for a little four-legged friend. And this triggers all sorts of precautions right away. Some of you may recall that the tragic death of Gene Hackman, who was suffering from dementia. They actually determined that he probably starved to death. And the reason he starved to death, it was his wife, Betsy, contracted what's known as hantavirus, resulting in hantavirus pulmonary syndrome. It killed her. And where this came from in their case was the fecal matter of rats. In this case, from what I've been able to see, we had a mouse in it. So if I'm going to go in and deal with this, the last thing I want to do when I'm just fooling around with this type of table is contract something that'll kill me. And the same should be for you. So what you need are natural gloves and a good face mask, the N95. So yeah, if you still have some of them around from the coronavirus, well, guess what? They're going to be handy again. And before I handle any of this, after working with this, I've washed my hands, so I'm not contaminating, the very mask I want to use to protect myself. This type has an expanding band. So if I sound a little muffled, it's probably like some of the pairs of speakers you probably owned at one time. Something that is really well fitting. I'm using a contractor's mask to keep drywall dust and stuff out of them. You need something very tight fitting. The common ones that were used for COVID, a lot of them had gaps around here, the gaps up here in the nose area. They did not have a crushable band. And while they work, for a little bit more money, you could actually get something that keeps you safe. And that's what I recommend. As some of you also know, my wife is a transplant recipient, and transplant recipients, like cancer patients who are getting treatment, have no immune system. So the last thing you want to do is to come up with something or bring home something they can't get rid of. That's just tragic. So I'm masked up, I'm gloved up. The preliminary bolts are loose. I'm ready to take the tone arm off. I'm not going to do it from the top side. And in we go. The general rule of thumb when taking bolts and stuff out is to remember exactly the pattern of their layout, so that you put the exact same bolt into the exact same hole. No threads are identical, and you start by turning it backwards till you hear the click or feel the click, and then tighten it. This is particularly important if we were dealing with wood, because the wood does not like being cross-threaded very well. You actually lose tightness. So if you find an old AM radio in a barn, or it could be a little music box or whatever, these are the sort of things you have to kind of watch out for. And in we go. And there's our nest. And if you look up here on the top, you'll see rat shit or mice shit. He made a very, very lovely home. We have a combination of stuffing from whatever they could find to human hair, and it's just really interesting. And as you can see, when I was trying to figure out what's going on with the motor, no, we wouldn't have had much of a tone arm connection, because you can see, A, it wasn't really connected, but you can see that our little friend was busy, and this is not uncommon. Last week when I couldn't get the motor to spin, I was aware that I had a visitor. And my suspicion is that what happened here also happen to the power supply cable to the motor. So the motor may be fine, but we won't know for a while. So we'll put that off to the side. Now, in attacking this sort of problem, the worst thing you can do is to bring out, your vacuum cleaner that doesn't have any sort of HEPA filtration or any of that stuff. And you certainly don't want to start by going directly after that. This is sort of the sort of stuff that you should pull out if you can. Here we have a little piece of Lord knows what. By the way, we don't have the anti-skate weight, so maybe our little buddy packed it in his house. I don't know. I can see here that he's been very, very busy. Looks like he liked to clean his ears out too, so that's, it's funny little things. I'm going to feel this to see if the counterweight's in it. I doubt it. In the bag it goes. So I'm not going to deploy anything that's going to stir stuff up. And if they've built a home here, they may have built a home over here. That'll be part of the release when I get into it. That'll also help me understand what may be affecting the motor speed. So that'll require taking the table and releasing it from the bottom side. But I wanted to show you this initially so that if you have a situation like this, you approach it properly. Certainly there's going to be some real sanitization needed to deal with this, but this is step one, is to figure out what you have, isolate it, and go from there. Take the bag, seal it up, keep it away from kids, pets. It's just not something you want to contract. So that was the former home. For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit mypillow.com. Of our little guest. And so that's it for the moment. I'm going to do a visual inspection of what I can see underneath to see if I find anything else that's going to be contributing. This little piece with a spring, I don't know what it goes to. So that's going to be saved. It could be something, it could be nothing, I don't know. Here's a fine little thing. That's a fishing weight. So again, you never know what is up in the middle of anything. I'm not too worried about the fishing weight. So we know that it turns on because we have this illuminated. The motor doesn't spin. We're going to release it. And then that'll allow me to inspect the wires to the motor. The connections at the motor themselves are good. There's no fouling there. Now, whether they're making a good connection in terms against oxidation, I don't know. It's a bit more weight. Looks like the well, it looks like our mouse was a drug addict. He had a pill. So, I didn't find him in here, so he managed to get out of it after having his drugs. I don't know. That's just how life is and how these things are. You never know what you're going to find. So, I just wanted to go this far to show you what you can encounter. And we'll continue with another part where we take the table apart and we do the inspection of the wiring. It could be that these things, the contacts here are so corroded that that's actually, or the control here, pitch adjustment, is so corroded, that's preventing current from getting through. I really don't want to go cleaning these things until I find out what the condition is of the wiring harness itself. Because if that's fouled up, then cleaning these, you may have to get to it, but I like to do things in a process. First, I need power to the motor. The motor is free spinning somewhat. It could stand a lubrication, and we'll do that next time. So thank you very much. This is the continuing saga of the Thorens, and there we are.